is what the Lord allows him to do. All the devil can do is imitate, but all he can do is continue to destroy. He can never heal. And we're going to see that again tonight, too, with the second plague. So keep in mind, all the enemy can do is follow. All the enemy can do is follow or lead you into a place of destruction. Because remember, after they did that, Pharaoh said, well, my people could do the same thing. So it ain't nothing miraculous. But the problem was, the people suffered. It was no healing. The blood, the Nile stayed red for 7 days. 7 whole days. And tying that in, then I'm going to jump into the lesson. Think about what we talked about in Bible Discovery Hour. When we talked about the Sankofa. When the old African proverb says, you never know the value of water until you had to carry it. And I think that's what it said. I'm some kind of paraphrasing. But you never know the value of something until you had to go through it. All right. And I use the analogy, all of us have running water now. And all of us, when we get up in the morning, we could go and turn on our faucet and have to let it run a little while to get the hot water. But it's there. Right? So imagine if it was the times when you didn't have running water and you had to go down to, go to the pump or go to the spring or wherever the water source was and grab you 2 buckets of water, and as you get halfway, you realize both buckets got a hole in it. Then what you got to do, you got to go back to the house, find 2 more buckets, go back and fill them back up. You never know the value of something until you had to deal with it or it's gone. So imagine your only drinking source is red, is blood. And then you remember it said anything that was there in the houses and all that turned to blood. So imagine you saying, okay, I got dirty water at my house. That's okay. I can go to the store and I can buy some Aquafina and I'll be all right. And you buy the Aquafina, you get it home, you open up, get ready to drink, and it turned to blood. What do you do? And guess what? It ain't nothing you did. When you look at the Egyptians, it ain't nothing they did. They was just following the wrong person. They was just following and not believing in the true God. So sometimes not doing nothing is a problem in itself. Right? So let's keep that in mind and let's dig into the night. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this in kind of stages, I think. Let me read the first 4 verses. Then I read 5 through 7. I'm going to try to get all the way down to verse 15 tonight. It's going to be pushing, but I'm trying to get down to it. The first 4 verses of Exodus 8. English Standard Version, where I'm reading from. Then the Lord said to Moses, go in to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will plague all your country with frogs. The Nile shall swarm with frogs that shall come up unto your house and into your bedroom and on your bed, and into the house of your servants and your people, and into your own ovens and your knitting bowls. And finally, verse 4, the frog shall come up on you and on your people and on all your servants. First 4 verses. So remember I said, we talked about last week, the first 2 in each plague was a warning. We see the Lord giving Pharaoh another warning. Giving him another warning. Go to Pharaoh. Tell him, if you don't let my people go, serve me, I am going to give you a plague of frogs. All right. So now we see Pharaoh's heart was already hardened. But even though Pharaoh's heart was hardened, God still was showing mercy, or actually showing grace, and still giving him a chance to change from his wicked ways. But not only that, have you ever thought about this? Why did not the Lord just go straight to the last plague? If he knew what it was going to take to have Pharaoh let the people go, why not have Moses just go? Why put everybody through that and just not have all these plagues and just go to the last one and kill the firstborn? Why not? Because we still serve a God of grace and mercy. The Lord will give us a chance after chance, warning after warning, before a true destruction comes. And when I think about that, me and Brother McChapel was talking about President Trump. He gives us warning after warning after warning before destruction comes. And I don't think, and I know some people will probably be saying, yeah, Trump did do some destruction. I think Trump was a warning, another warning, that this country, and I told Brother McKay this, that this country is still not in a good place. It showed that we still had racism or racial tension in this country. All we tried to do was sweep it up under the rug. And what Trump did, well, I ain't going to say sweep it up under the rug. What we tried to do is keep it in the dark. And the Bible tells us what's done in the dark will come to light. We tried to keep our racial tensions and our racist ways in the dark from other countries and all of that because we wanted other countries to think we're better than they are. And all Trump did was shine a light that we're no better than anybody else. All right? So I don't know what the destruction is, but I see the warnings. And the warnings are we need to come together. But watch this. I think with Brother Kevin, one of our problems is first, we need to come together as a community. We need to come together as a race before we even try to attack or get the white race or the Mexican or any other race or nationality to help us. How can we ask for help when we ain't willing to help ourselves? Mm-hmm. So he gives them warnings, and like I say, that was one question that I always asked: why would God not go straight to that last plague? For one, He's a God of grace and mercy. Two, sometimes the Lord shows us who's in charge. Sometimes the people who He really is. All right? And when we look at these plagues from that standpoint, every time He did one that I can think of, and as we read through it, at least these first two, He attacked a so-called Egyptian god to show you're not as powerful as you think you are. So if I had to say something about that, it would be this right here. We need to make sure we put no other gods before God. Right? We don't create images or bow down to anything but our God. Right? Because He's going to show us that He's more powerful than what we fell in love with and put before Him. Some people fall in love with so much money, and the Lord's going to show them eventually that money ain't more powerful than me. Remember that rich man that asked the Lord, Jesus, what must I do? And Jesus said, you already know. Then Jesus came back and said, well, if you sell all your riches, you can get in because it's easier for a camel to get through the needle before a rich man gets into heaven. He was so sad because he didn't want to give away all this stuff. So we had to realize when we start putting stuff in, I use money as an example, but I know a lot of us say, well, real, ain't got to worry about that one. I don't know. You know, as some people say, money is the root of all evil. Money can't buy happiness. And a lot of broke people say, well, I sure would like to find out. Right? So I know some people say, well, Rev, I ain't got that problem with the money. But it ain't just, it is not just money. It's any materialistic stuff that we put before him. It's any materialistic stuff that we put before him that he will show us and give us warnings like he did the Egyptians. Because they just knew they had all these gods. The God of the Nile, God of weather, God of lightning, God of light, God of darkness. You know, God of rain, God of snow. You can have all the gods in the world. It still don't add up to my God. And if you look at multiplication, you can take all your gods and just time and put a zero behind it, and that's what you got when it comes to challenging our God. So that was the first thing that popped out. Just reading that section. He gave him another warning. Let my people go that they may serve me. Let my people go, but so that they serve me. But if you don't, I'm going to send frogs. And watch this. This I actually just noticed. I'm reading this again. Not only was he going to send frogs to, but if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will plague all your country with frogs. You see, the first thing he mentions here, what was going to be plagued? The Nile shall swarm with frogs that shall come up into your house. The Nile River that was just turned to blood, all right? That just turned from blood. Now you just able to get your drinking water again, and now you can't get it again because what?
Full of frogs.
It's full of frogs. Mm-hmm. And think about this now. The Nile River was the source of pretty much everything for the Egyptians. The source of water. It was a source of drinking water. It was a source of bathing. It was a source of growing your crops. It was the source of everything. So for 7 days, I want us to think about this for a minute. Let's just put it in our terms. For 7 days, middle of the summer, you don't have no water to take a bath. No water to drink. Then, when you think you're able to get your running water, lo and behold, you still ain't got it. Mm-hmm. And something else that it said that I didn't mention last week, it was stink during that time when the river turned to blood. Mm-hmm. So not only that, not only are you stink because you can't take a bath, the country is stinking. So maybe that was a good thing. Everybody, you can't say nobody outsmelled anybody because everybody smelled it. Right? But now, all that's over with. You think you're back to normal. You think you're back to normal. And the first thing God attacks again is your source of living. Right? And that makes me, just in there, because I just noticed that. So that makes me think sometimes when we have trials and tribulations, what is attacked most in our trials and tribulations? The sources that we use on a day-to-day basis. All right? Because think about it, when, just in general, I'm not talking about health. I'm not talking about health now. All right? I'm talking about a lot of times when stuff breaks down. What is it? Our cars. Right? What breaks down? And it's in the middle of the summer, the AC. What breaks down in the middle of the month? Right? What you know? See your lawnmowers. You know, it's always something that we're using as the source of something that breaks down. Right? And it just amazes me when I think about it. The Lord was doing that and showing us right then. Now, I'm not saying that, when our lawnmowers, our ACs, our cars, and all that break down is because we're doing something wrong, right? I'm not saying that, right? But if you are, you know why. But if you're not, right, sometimes it's a test. And the only way that the Lord is going to strengthen us is taking something that we're using on a day-to-day basis. Because when we think about the fast that we're on, that's what something I was going to mention. I pray for everybody is kind of easy to their fast or still praying for what the Lord will guide them in their fast, right? And I just be honest with me and Sister Linda were struggling this year with the fast because all year we gave up meat, all type of meat for the whole year. We gave up meat. We just recently started by eating meat. So how can I give up meat for this fast if I ain't been eating meat the whole year? So what can I give up? And a lot of people, they'll say, well, in my fast, I fast from 12 midnight to 12 in the afternoon. And you sleep from 12 midnight to 11 in the afternoon. What are you really giving up, right? What are you really giving up? So the Lord attacks stuff that we're using in need as a source to let us know that He is still above all. He is still the power source. All we're doing, and I can't remember if I did this sermon or not. It's something I might need to go back and revisit. Source versus resource. A lot of the stuff we're using are resources. A lot of the stuff that we're using are resources. When we look at our phones and all of that, the phone is a resource, right? But in order for us to charge that phone, we got to plug into a power source. Mm-hmm. So the power is the source. And even if you look at our solar panels and all of that, the power that we get from solar panels are a resource. The sun is the source, right? So everything that we're using on a daily basis when it comes to our Savior is a resource. So He's going to make sure He reminds us of who the source is. That's what He's doing there, and it just amazed me because that's something I just noticed. The first thing He said was, I'm going to attack the Nile that He just attacked. And then He goes on to say, they shall swarm up with frogs and shall come into your house and into your bedroom and into your bed and into your house of your servants and your people and into your ovens, into your knitting bowls. The frog shall come up on you and on your people and on all your servants. So not only the frogs going to come up out of now, right? The frogs, I'm sorry, Sister Diane, I think you and Sister McChapel here. The little frogs that we have out here sometimes that make Sister Diane walk up to this door and sit and walk all the way around. That if we had this bike bulb, she'll probably walk all the way around here to avoid. So just imagine, not only is coming up out of the Nile, coming out of you turn on your faucet, the frog is coming out of there. You get ready to cook, and it's in your oven. Right? Well, truthfully, you sell cooked frog, but guess what the problem is? Hey, time you turn, the other one is in your house. So not only do you got frogs in your oven, right? It says your knitting bowl. So for us, any kind of activity you do and all of that, so you pick up your phone, and guess what? The frog on the phone, right? Then you think, well, you know what? Forget all this. I'm just gonna go to bed. You turn around, you're gonna have a princess in the frog store because the frog will be ready to wait on the kids. Right? The frogs are in your bed. All right? And it's coming now. The other part of this is everywhere. But you notice the last thing he says, But not only that, guess what? They're going to come into your house and into your bedroom, on your bed, into your service house. But watch this, and on you, right? And so not only they're going to be on you too. Frogs everywhere. Frogs everywhere. So now the question is, well, let me do this. Then that was the warning. Verse 1 through 4 is a warning. He gave him the warning, and well, no, he didn't add heed to the warning. He just ignored the warning. A lot of us, because of our phobias and the things that we don't like, if somebody warns us or threatens us with something we don't like, first, after we get them cussing out and tell them, you better not, you know what, all right? We might think about what they're saying, right? Because a lot of the times fear makes us do what? Do right. Fear makes us do right. We done ran and all of that, and it might make us do right. Fear didn't even make him do right. So he's got the warning, right? He's got the warning. Now, verse 5 says, and the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the rivers, over the canals, and over the pools, and make frogs come up out of the land. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. But the magicians did the same by their secret arts and made frogs come up out of the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called, stop right there for a minute. I'm going to get through 8. So now, remember a while back, God told Moses he's going to be like a God to Pharaoh, right? And to Aaron, and Aaron is going to be servant. So if you notice, every time God spoke, when he was dealing with Pharaoh, he told Moses to tell Pharaoh this. And then when he was getting ready to deal with Aaron, he told Moses to tell Aaron this. Right? We got to realize when we're dealing with people in leadership, or you are in leadership, that person that's in leadership always is answering. And if you're in leadership, you're always answering to somebody else. You're always in a conversation with somebody else that's more powerful than you. But you also got to be willing to lead others that are in a position less than you. So you got to remain humble, because you might be getting it from both ends. You might be getting it from both ways. The people that you're trying to convince to do stuff is on you, and the people that you're trying to lead is on you. So the other flip side of that, we need to be more understanding of leadership. We need to try to look at it from a broader picture, because sometimes all leaders are doing is passing along the message. They're trying to do what they can, but how can they if the people that they're trying to lead is not even helping them and biting them? So you have people in front of you that's coming this way, and you got people behind you that ain't coming that's trying to help you fight that way. Where are you stuck at? All right. It's a hard thing. So Moses had a hard task. Pharaoh didn't want to listen to him. The people of the Hebrews didn't want to listen to him, and Aaron pretended to listen to him. All right. So Aaron did what he was supposed to do until Moses' back was turned. All right. So we see Moses tells Aaron to lift out his hands and all of that, and the frogs come up. So now the question is that I have ever thought about: why frogs? Why frogs? Why frogs? Well, I found out why. The frogs came up and covered the land. Since the Egyptians, watch this, worshiped the frogs. The frog was a god or something that the Egyptians worshiped. So guess what? God gave them another plague of the frogs. Because Egyptians, they worshiped the frog, so they wasn't going to kill the frog. It was against their religion or whatever you want to say to even kill the frog. Remember we said earlier, a lot of these plagues, God is targeting Egyptian gods. So since you love and worship frogs so much, I'm going to give you a bunch of frogs. I'm going to give you frogs everywhere. Mm-hmm. So God gave them a plague of frogs, and we see God's determining plan. And I like what this guy says. We see God's determined plan and his sense of humor. Since you worship frogs, since you like frogs so much, here you go. And just like, I can't remember, maybe it was a Geico commercial or a State Farm commercial, or I can't remember what. But a genie came up and asked this guy what he wanted. He said $1 million. And he went outside and he had $1 million
with antlers.
With antlers on his lawn. Be careful what you ask for.
You'll get it.
Because you might get it. Okay? Now, I was playing this conversation over in my mind how I was going to say this tonight. Because, you know, the Lord will take something you love and give it to you to the point you don't want it no more. And I know, and I'm thinking to myself, well, somebody's going to say, well, oh, Lord, I sure love money. Why won't you give me something? Right? But sometimes you get, some people in this world are sick of money. I remember my favorite movies is Brewster's Million with Richard Pryor. And I don't know if you ever saw it, but his great granddad, somebody left him an inheritance of $350 million. And what he had to do in order to get it, he had to spend, I think, $35 million in a month. And he had to spend it and not have no assets when he spent it. And couldn't tell nobody why he was spending it. So at the end of them 30 days, he had to be completely broke. He couldn't have a house. He couldn't have a car, no rings. He couldn't give it away. He actually spent it. And after the end of that, he was sick of money. So the Lord will, even though you think we love this and love that, the Lord will put stuff on us to make us sick of the very thing that we put before him because we said we loved it more than we loved him. That goes back to show you better be careful. We got to be careful at what we focus our love in. I'm not saying you don't supposed to love stuff and all that, but we got to make sure we're not loving it more than we're loving God. And so he gives them a plague of and I'm trying to see here. I remember reading it in one of these illustrations. What God was the God of frogs at that time, or the God that it signified then. I can't remember, but I like this right here that says, though he is the Lord of hosts, he has no need of powerful armies, the ministry of angels, or thunderbolts, or justice to punish a sinner or a sinful nation. The frog or the flies in the hands is a sufficient instrument. Thus the first and second plagues are about war. The third and fourth plague we will see is about the earth. So the Lord doesn't need to dispatch no armies to get us back in line. He doesn't have to dispatch people to get us back in line. How much we always say that these people are out to get all that. Sometimes he just dispatches a couple frogs. He dispatches, I'm going to use Sister Linda, a couple cockroaches. Right? If I want to see my baby run through the house, I just throw a cockroach and pew! Gone, Sister Diane. Probably. When she get back. But you know, he doesn't to get people in line. I remember my sister. She'll kill me when I tell this story. Um, I had a little ET dog when the little ET was out, and to keep my sister from bothering me or coming in my room, I used to set ET dog in the hallway. She would even not come down. She would even come down the hallway, right? So the Lord doesn't have to use people and all of that. He will use stuff to get us back in line. He doesn't need no armies. The person that needs armies is the devil. The person that needs people is the devil. The Lord has all power in his hand. With that power, he can do as he pleases to get us back in line. But watch this. So he uses these frogs that are a god or a something that the Egyptians worship. And because it's something that they worship, they're not going to even kill it. But now it's to the point that there's so many of them. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So we see in verse 7, watch this, here come the magicians again. Verse 7 says, but the magicians did the same by their secret arts and made frogs come up out of the land. So once again, the magicians imitating the work of God. They can't outdo God, but they imitated the work of God. We got to be careful at making sure the people that we're following is not an imitation. Right? We have to make sure, because ladies, as an example, and some guys, well, I use not in this example, but you have to be careful when you go to stores or buy purses from people that sells a Coach or a Gucci or all of that, and it'd be a knockoff, and you'd have paid Coach money for something that you should have paid $5, $10 for. You have to be you have to be careful, because people will be out to get you. People will try to sell you a imitation as a real thing. We have some pastors, we have teachers, we have pastors, ministers that are trying to imitate God and not be a true, authentic follower of Christ. And because of that, they think they're trying to be a God. And they're portraying to us as they are a follower of God. And we end up in a cult and don't even know how we ended up in that. So you have to be you have to be careful. The other thing, once again, here come these magicians, the evil side of it, and the devil or Satan, or through evil intervention, they were able to duplicate what the Lord did. All right, Satan has a way to be able to duplicate what the Lord did, but guess what? He can't do it before the Lord. But not only this, he can't reverse what the Lord is doing. People always say Satan will bless you and all of that. But guess what? No. All Satan can do is earthly stuff. Satan cannot heal. Satan cannot calm the storm in your life. All Satan can do is make it worse. Because watch this. Let's think about this. When they turned to Nile, when they got their water, when they found the clean water, there's no clean water nowhere. No running water nowhere. So when they found the water, instead of them distributing it out to the people, they used it to do the same thing God just did. So now the little bit of water they did have that was clean, they made it dirty too. So did they help the problem? No, they added to the problem with the frogs. It says right here that by their secret arts, they made frogs come up out of the land. So God had already covered the land, with frogs. So, did the country need more frogs? Did they need more frogs? No, what they needed was a healing. What they needed was the frogs to dissipate. What they got was more frogs. Right? So what they got was more troubles. You catch what I'm finna, and I think everybody know where I'm finna go at. All the devil's gonna do is give us more trouble. All he's gonna do is give us more heartache. All he's gonna do is give us more pain. Some people think, and I'm gonna use the church, some people think when they're coming to board meetings, they're coming to these meetings, they're coming to the church, they're gonna come to help. And all they're doing is bringing more mess. All they're doing is bringing more mess. We got to realize and be careful of our hearts and make sure our intentions are pure. And when I say pure, that means you're not coming in and in your back of your mind, yeah, I'm going to help the church with this. I'm going to give them this money and all of this. And in your mind, you're saying, because I'm going to want to use the church, they're going to have to let me use the church anytime I want because I gave them this money. You know, some people will help you with ulterior motives in mind. But you have some people that will help and say, you know what, I'm just giving because the Lord blessed me to give. Do you want some in return? No. Do you want recognition? No. You know, real, if you just give us a thank you card or something like that, you know, don't let nobody know. We fine with it. Because they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. All right. So we see here, to get back on task here and try to finish up, the magicians, I don't know why I say musicians, the magicians added to the problem. 2 times they had an opportunity to show the world, to show by the Egyptians, to show the Hebrews that the God that they serve is actually more powerful than the God of the Hebrews. God gave them 2 times, 2 different occasions to show you're more powerful than me. The Lord, He gives us opportunities to show, for us to show that we're more powerful than Him, to show that we know more than Him. And we sometimes fall into that trap of the magicians, and try to do it on our own. And guess what we do? We add to the problem. We add to it. God, I got this one. I'm going to tell them a piece of my mind this time. All right? And Brother McChapel, we just felt good when he told them a piece of our mind. Now we ain't got no job, and we in jail. All right? So now we ain't got no job, and we need bail money. So we done made it matters. Right? And if we'd have just let the Lord handle it, we might not have had a job, but guess what? We'd have had a lawsuit that was going to get more money from because they wrongfully fired us. Right? But now we ain't got no leg to stand on because we done took and flipped the boss desk over. We done throw the computer. We done told them a piece of our mind, and they done had to carry us out. Right? So all we do sometimes is make matters worse. And we got to understand that that's what the devil wants. The devil will make us think he's happy. In reality, all he's doing is hurt the situation. These magicians thought they were happy. And in reality, all they were doing was hurting the situation. So I want us to think about this, then I'm going to cover 8 through 15 kind of quick. Think about this. Are we having a situation, or are we hurting a situation? And that's something Rev has to think about too, because Rev is always willing to help. One, and I hope Sister Linda don't mind me saying this. One of her biggest gripes, well, that I know of, she probably got plenty of, but one of them is I'm always helping people. I'm always giving people money. Always giving people money. They ask me for it, I got it, get what? Right? But I realized that night, am I really helping the situation? I'm hurting the situation. Because if keep giving them money, they gonna think they can go do whatever they want to do, and all they gotta do is call Chris when times get tight. And he's gonna bail them out. So so when I say that, I'm preaching to the choir too. We got to think about, are we helping the situation? Are we hurting the situation? And sometimes saying no, it may feel bad to us, but it's the best thing for that situation. It's the best thing for that situation. Sometimes we got to tell our kids, no, I can't help you. And sometimes it's hard because we're looking at our child in a 6x9. No, I can't. I'm not going to bail you out this time. We're going to go through the whole court system because that's the only, at least I know if you're there, you're safe. If I know you're there, you can't get to the drugs, hopefully. Prayerfully. They ain't letting them in. So maybe you can get some help in rehab there. Sometimes we hurt our children because we know they have a problem. And we keep feeding into the problem thinking they have it. We know they got a drug problem. And I'm not saying nobody, but you know they got a drug problem. And you know they're stealing the money. And you keep putting money in your purse for them too. Then when you get the call saying they've overdosed or something like that, why did they do that? Why didn't they ask for help? Well, what did you do to help? So that's a question we have to ask ourselves. Are we helping a situation? Or are we hurting a situation? And that is really, when I say that, that's a question that we really need to go to the Lord in prayer in. And have a conversation with Him because He knows, He's the only one that knows for sure, are we helping or hurting? We may, in our hearts, in our genuine heart, we may be thinking we're helping. In our genuine heart, we thinking we're helping because the Lord says it's better to give than receive. And He's blessed me with it. So if He's blessed me with it, and somebody comes up to ask, it's not up to me to determine what they need it for, right? They ask. So we have, when I say that, we have to really have a conversation with the Lord right then and there. Lord, what do I need to do in this situation? Especially when it comes to family members and all of that, and you know, you're not blind to the fact, you know they're not doing what they're supposed to do. But you need to say, Lord, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And if we still give, Lord, if I give it, and it is not until its intended purpose, when they ask again, don't allow me to have it to give. Let my well run dry when it comes to their asking. And then it's at the point to where when they ask, you ain't got it for real. Because the Lord knew you was going to come ask. So you ain't got it to give. Because of that simple prayer, am I helping or am I hurting? Because Lord, I don't know. And once again, I'm speaking to myself. I'll call you back. Get to this part right here, 8 through 15, in the next 5 minutes. Then Pharaoh. Actually, you know what? Let me stop right there. I wanted to get through that third plague tonight, but it's something I want to bring up in verses 8 through 15. So we will put a pin right there when when Pharaoh went and started talking to Moses, because there's a couple of things I just thought about I wanted to touch on, and hopefully the Lord allows me to bring it back up next week, because we'll probably spend a couple of minutes on verse 8 when Pharaoh pleaded with Moses. But with that being said, we'll do this. A brief recap. When we are looking at these plagues again, 2 warnings, no warning. God is using these plagues to dispel the myth of the Egyptian gods. Not only that, he's showing who's really in charge. The other thing, when we look at the magicians, they're not helping the situation. They're being a hindrance. But not only that, I just thought of that. They're not only being a hindrance to the situation, they're being a hindrance to leadership. They're being a hindrance to Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh sees them in his mind. He sees them doing it. So guess what? My people, my gods are still as powerful as your gods. And he's not thinking in his mind that the frogs are still there. You still have the issue. The issue hadn't went away. The issue is still there. We have friends that will come up to us when we have issues, when we're having problems, and will say, well, let's go out. Let's go take a drink. Let's go to the club. Let's go shopping. Let's do this and that. And you go do it, and guess what? When you get back, the problem is still there. The problem is still there. We have people and every form of life, not just in the church, but in the community, that's at workplaces and all of that, that is a hindrance to leadership. That's a hindrance to other people. And it's disguised as their helping. Because every time the magicians did this, Pharaoh's heart got hardened again. And he didn't think twice about it. So we have to, hopefully, what this lesson has taught us these last 2 weeks is we need to keep our eyes, spiritual eyes, open to make sure, I don't know, if we are helping or being a hindrance, if other people in our lives are help or a hindrance. Because remember, these magicians that came to Pharaoh was part of Pharaoh's circle. There wasn't nobody that came off the street. It wasn't nobody that he didn't know. It was the ones that he depended on and called upon, right? And they did exactly what he asked them to do. And not saying that, you know what? This is an issue. I can do that. But what we need is somebody that's going to remove all of these frogs. What we're going to need is somebody to turn the Nile River from blood back to regular. That's what we need. I can do that. I can give you more frogs, Pharaoh. I can make more blood. But what we need is somebody to do the opposite. So Pharaoh, I think what we need to do is listen to this Moses man and have him have a conversation with his God. Which we'll see next week. Pharaoh kind of did, but and just like in spades, he reneged. Right? So we got to make sure, I'm closing, that when we're dealing with people and I say it this way, when we're dealing with people in our circle, we need to keep our eyes open to the fact that some of these people that are in our circle is wolves in sheep clothing. And they don't even know they're a wolf in sheep clothing. What you mean, real? They're thinking they're helping the situation, but all they're doing is adding to it. They think they are uncovering the mud off of you, and all they're doing is continuing to dump it on you. So we got to make sure, but we also got to make sure that the circles that we're in, that we're not a hindrance, that we're helping. And leave you with this example. Like I said, we got to make sure we're not throwing mud or trying to dig somebody out. You got a big hole from here. The hole is from here to here. And all you doing, thinking you uncovering, and you throwing it back over there, and all you doing is just throwing mud or dirt back on the person that you thought you was helping. All you doing is just digging it deeper. So we got to make sure in the circles that we're in, that the people that are with us is helping and not being a hindrance. We got to make sure we're helping and not being a hindrance. But also remember this, if you see them as that hindrance, accept them for that hindrance. Accept them for it, because all of us needs a Pharaoh. All of us needs a Judas. All of us needs a Thomas. All of us need a Peter in our lives. Because if we have them, we're walking in the same company as Jesus. And if we're walking in his company, that means we must be doing something right. So I thank y'all once again for joining in with us. It is our prayer that, remember, we started the annual fast on Monday. It is our prayer that the Lord is guiding you through the fast. And if you need to have a conversation with the pastor about the fast, please do so. Send me a quick text, talk to me, and we'll work through whatever reservations that you have about the fast, or just guidance on the fast. If you're going through the fast and the prayer line is not coming up quick enough that Monday, you need Rev to help pray right then and there, send me a quick text. And when I see it and have a break, Rev will call and we'll have a prayer right then. But let's continue our fast. Lord's will, fourth Sunday is the kickoff of our Sons of Valor Sunday. Our very own exhorter, Rivers, will be delivering the message on fourth Sunday. And it was one other thing that I wanted to mention before I close out, and I can't remember it now. So with that being said, since I can't remember much more than the point, we thank you all for joining in with us. Anything from the floor?
8 o'clock, Sunday.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock services on Sunday. With that being said, we'll ask Brother McKay to close us out.
Father in heaven, as we come to a close, we return to our home and great place. Father, I just want to thank you for the ears that heard and our heart has felt. Then, Father, we want to thank you, Father, for protecting us from the weather that we have been approached by.
Yeah.
Then, Father, the one that was affected by the weather, Father, I ask you to just guide them, direct them, and help them with all they need. And just have mercy.
Yes.
And then, Father, look down and walk down that day, Father. Just go with them, help them. We go make the right decision, Father, to make things better for your people. And just have mercy upon
Have
us.
mercy.
And then, Father, go with this pastor. Continue to give him the knowledge, wisdom, understanding. He be that guiding light for this Christian faith.
Yes, Lord.
And just have mercy
Have
upon us.
Have mercy.
Then, Father, go with the one that I'm concerned today, Father.
Mhm.
I pray that you will turn around, Father, for whatever happened to me.
Yeah.
Let them know, Father, you God, and beside you, let them know us. And just have mercy upon us.
Have mercy.
These are the blessings in our Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Miss Sherry, do it,